There's just so much.
You're listening to a Mamma Mia podcast.
Mamma Mia acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this podcast on, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.
Imagine being locked away from your family, your friends, and your work for 3 months with no access to the outside world, only to return to normal life and be household name level famous. 20 years ago, if you went on a reality show like Big Brother, well, this was the reality. It's hard to explain just how big the phenomenon of Big Brother was here in Australia when it first started airing in 2001. It was our first proper reality show, and for the first few seasons at least, the whole country fell in love with the people who were on it, especially a few standouts, from Sarah Marie to Chrissy Swan to my guest today. From Mamma Mia, you're listening to No Filter, a podcast where people tell their stories very candidly and aren't afraid to be vulnerable. My name is Mia Friedman. Australia first fell in love with Reggie Bird in 2003, when she became the third person in Australia to win Big Brother. The whole country knew Reggie's name. They knew she was married, ran a fish and chip shop in Tasmania, and wore her heart on her sleeve. But a lot has changed in Reggie's life since she walked out of that Big Brother house. And she's continued to walk an unexpectedly fine line between public and private life over the past 2 decades. She's been so famous she couldn't work. Then she's had to work after getting scammed out of $40,000. She's been an air hostess, a mum, she's lost her eyesight, gotten divorced, and now she's chosen to go back on Big Brother. But somehow, through all of it, she hasn't lost who she is.
Oh, God, I'm having a menopausal flash.
Oh, are you?
Oh, my God.
Here is my chat with Reggie. What are your memories of the night that you went into the Big Brother house for the first time?
This is Regina. Regina manages a fish and chip shop.
Yes, I was only 29 back then. So the very first night, that was really crazy because I thought I was going into the house. I was in a car with Saxon, and Saxon was told to get back in the car, and I was told to get back into the car, and then we got taken away again. And I thought I did something wrong. And I remember Angela Bishop, she was the Channel 10 reporter, and at the end she'd come up to me. She's going, "And how was that?" And I'm like, "Oh, is that it?" And then I got taken back to the hotel, and I was left at the hotel, and they said, "Oh, someone will be around to see you soon." And I thought, what have I done wrong? And then the psychologist came around. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and she said, "Oh, this is Big Brother." I said, "Am I going home?" She goes, "Oh, no, you're not going home." And then I got locked back in the hotel for about another 5 days, not knowing when I was going into the house.
Bizarre.
It was really bizarre.
So were they trying to mess with you, or
Yes,
something just went wrong?
That was it. That was the game of Big Brother. Then when I finally did get to go back into the house, Ben was already in there, Joe was there, and Patrick was there, and then I went in. Yeah.
When you came out, what are your memories of that night? Because you won.
The winner of this year's Big Brother is Reggie.
Yes. Oh, my goodness, that was crazy. Coming out of the house and walking onto the stage with screaming fans.
It's like a rock concert. I've been there for the finales before in the audience, and it's like nothing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it was bizarre because I've been locked away for 3 months, and at the end, like, it was just me, Chrissy and Dan, and it was all very quiet.
Not much stimulation.
No, and then all of a sudden it's just like, whoa, this is like insane. It was so mad, crazy mad, and it was all fuzz, like my head was really fuzzy. And how I always remember it is a television when it's gone off air and you had the black and white fuzz. That's what my head was like at that time. It was just all madness.
Do you remember being on the stage with Gretel and answering questions?
I do. My biggest memory was seeing the PlayStation down by her feet. So after she said, Reggie, you know what, you've just won $250,000. And I'm like, oh, but I thought I won the PlayStation. And I was really disappointed. And because I could see it by her feet. And she goes, oh, and then that's how that line came about.
What was the line?
Me winning the PlayStation. Like everyone was going, oh, my goodness, Reggie, you've just won this show and all you're concerned about is winning a PlayStation. Yeah, it was really bizarre.
Did you have any perception when you were in the house of how you were perceived out of the house? Like, what was it like to come out and have all these people love you for just being yourself?
Well, you've got no idea. Like, you've really got no idea what's going on at all. And back in my house, we never had a TV. Like, we could never see Gretel come on a screen and talk. We only had the speakers, and we were told to, like, sit on the couch or stand in the backyard because that's where you're going to hear her voice. I think halfway through the show, I think it was an eviction night or a nominations we were doing. Must have been an eviction night because Gretel was going around the couch and asking how every housemate was. And then when it came to me, they let through this massive scream through the speakers, like from the audience. And that moment, everyone on that couch just went. And from that moment, I was nominated. They were trying to get me out then. So I think I was up for nominations nearly every week after that.
So everyone in the house was trying to get you out because you were so popular.
They knew.
They knew when they heard the scream from the crowd.
Yeah, when that scream came
so
through.
You were a threat to the people who were there to play to win the money.
Yeah, I just managed to keep on going.
It must have been an absolute whirlwind in the days after, like everyone wanting a piece of you.
It was insane. It was so crazy. And especially when I went home to Tassie, back home, thousands of people did a Go Reggie sign up on the top of the hill, and it was freezing cold. All of Hobart came out. It was like the Christmas pageant, and they took me around on the back of a tow truck and they're waving to everyone on the back of the tow truck, and it was raining, and it was, I'll never forget how cold it was. And then even when I landed into Hobart, they brought out the water cannons and put the water cannons over the plane, and they had not done that since the Beatles come to Australia. So me and the Beatles got the water cannons.
At what point did it wear off? Like, so everything was crazy and you had all these press obligations. I imagine you had to go around do interviews. At what point did they sort of go, okay, we've milked everything we can out of you, back to your life?
I reckon for months, like, because after that, like, I think 3 months after Big Brother, you had commitments to tour around Australia and do the nightclub appearances and media, and so
Did you get paid for all that?
Yeah, we did. But I found out later, like, other housemates were getting more than me, and I'm like, oh, this is rigged.
Who negotiated all that stuff for you?
That was Harry and Miller. So we had no choice when we signed the contract.
So he was a big talent agent and he had the rights to all the contestants.
Yes. So the first 6 months, or was it 3? I can't remember if it was 3 months or 6 months, they decided whether they wanted to keep you or not. And I said after 6 months, you're going to let me go because you're not really doing anything for me, so can you let me go? And they went, no, we're keeping you. And I'm like, oh, man, this is like another 2 years.
So they just didn't want to let anyone else have you?
I think maybe that might have been it, but I never really understood why they never really did that much for me, because I was the most popular person in the country, and I'm like, you're not really.
What did you want to do?
Oh, gosh, probably something in TV or radio or something would have been fun, and like talking because I love talking to people, yeah. But back then, you know, it was all fresh, the old reality TV, yeah.
I was thinking a lot about you before today and about how, what year was it?
2003.
2003. You were like 15 years too early.
Yeah.
Because back then the people that could go and get those jobs in TV or radio were still very polished. They were all kind of the same, and you had to fit into the mould of what television was or what radio was. Whereas now, this moment with the internet and social media, people get followings for being who they are. Authenticity is the most prized thing that everyone's trying to be.
Oh,
and that's what you've always been.
I've always been, yeah.
Yeah.
Always been myself.
And unlike everyone else.
Yeah, I'm just different.
So how did you support yourself? Because you were super famous.
Yeah, so with the prize money, I paid off the house because I was married to Adrian at the time, and then the marriage broke down. And
Did it break down because you were suddenly so famous and living this different life?
That had a part of it. It did have a part of it, but prior to going into the house, we had issues, and yeah, so Big Brother sort of played that part of, and I was over being in the shop as well.
So you owned the fish and chip shop together?
Yeah, I was in a partnership with his family, and then Adrian, he's still there now.
In the fish and chip shop with his family?
Yeah, he's still there.
So the marriage broke down?
Yeah, the marriage broke down. I paid off the house. I moved here to Sydney because I thought, well, come to Sydney, get work, be near the management. 6 months I lasted, and I'm like, oh, I can't live here. I just found it so fast, and after coming from a little country town, and I just thought everyone's so fast. They're all in a hurry all the time. And after that I went to Melbourne. Ben, who was in my show, his parents needed someone to mind their unit while they went travelling around Australia, and he said, look, Reggie, come to Melbourne for a few months and stay at mum and dad's and water their plants for them. And I said, oh, look, I kill plants. I'm not good with plants. And so anyway, that's when I applied for Virgin, to go to Virgin as an air hostie, and I got a job there. And I ended up staying in Melbourne for about 2 or 3 years.
So you were like a celebrity flight attendant?
Yes.
How did that go down with the other flight attendants on the plane?
Not good. Not good at all. So I lasted, I think it was 7 months, 8 months.
Did they resent that you sort of got in the way?
Yeah, like because passengers and kids just wanted a photo and autograph and always wanted to say g'day, and because so much attention was on me, they didn't like that. There was some that were really, really lovely, but you had a lot that was like all the time was just at me.
So were you almost too famous to work?
Yes, yeah.
Too famous to get a job but still needed one?
So I think that must have been a while actually after Big Brother, because I remember it took about a couple of years for me to get a job because no one would take me seriously. I quit Virgin because you had to work with a different crew each time, and you're always meeting new people, and I was copying the same thing all over and over and over and over again, and like, I can't do it anymore. But I do regret leaving because I loved flying.
When did you become a mum?
I think I must have been 34. I'm 48 now. Mia's 15. Is that right? I failed maths
about
at school.
33, 34.
Yeah. I moved to the Gold Coast and met Dale, had Mia, and then we got married when Mia was 6 months old, I think it was. So I had Mia. Then I had an ectopic pregnancy, and they cut out my tube.
Did you know you were pregnant when you had the ectopic?
No. It was
What
the
happened?
most – I thought I was having a really bad period. And it was through the night, and I was like, oh, my goodness, I'm in so much pain. And
You've been through labour. How did it feel different?
I had to have a caesarean. Mia was Frank's breech. The head was up here and the legs were down, and she wasn't going to move, so I had to have a caesarean. Yeah, so then I had that ectopic. No idea I was pregnant.
That can be life-threatening,
Yeah,
ectopic pregnancies.
Dangerous. And then when they cut that out, they said, oh, look, you've only got one side now, so your chances of falling pregnant again are less than 50%. And then I fell pregnant with Lucas. And then after Lucas, I had another ectopic in the other tube. And I knew straight away then. I went, this is happening to me again. It was that pain. I knew straight
That's
away.
unlucky.
Yeah. And then when I went into the operating theatre, I said to the one that does, the
surgeon,
I said, look, just cut this out, take this side out. I don't ever want to go through this again. And she goes, oh, no, you're not in the right frame of mind. I can't do that. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. So they wouldn't remove that
The other tube.
Yeah.
Did you want to have more kids?
No. After that, I just went, no, I'm not doing that again. And also because of Lucas, born with cystic fibrosis, I was really scared to have, I guess, another child end up with the disease. So
When did you find out that he was unwell?
4 weeks I got the notice because they do a heel prick test when they're born, and I got a letter in the mail. There was a list, about 30 different things on there, and one of them was cystic fibrosis. And I thought, oh, no, I hope it's not that, because one of our friends, their son has cystic fibrosis. And
So you knew a bit about
a
it.
little bit about it just through them, and knew how bad it was. I rang Dale and I said, got this letter saying there's something wrong with Lucas. So we rang the paediatrician, I think they are,
Yeah.
genetics specialist or whatever, and then they go, oh, we can't get you in for another 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, you can't do this to me. I want to find out now, like, what's wrong with my baby. And I told Dale, he rang them up and obviously went mad at them, and we got in the next day, and then they said he has cystic fibrosis, and straight away our hearts just sunk. Just like, oh, no.
Can you explain what it
Yeah,
is?
so it's a lung disease. It's a lung disease, but it affects the whole digestive system, like his liver, his kidneys. His pancreas doesn't work, so he has to have enzymes before all foods pretty much. High fat, high calorie diet, because they don't put on weight. It's very hard to put on weight. And he has physiotherapy every day because the mucus sits in their lungs and it gets stuck in their lungs, and that's when bugs form, and they can end up with lots of infections, end up in hospital. So when he does go down, they call it a tune-up, and they put a PICC line into his arm, which goes up down into his heart, and they'll pump really, really strong antibiotics into his body to try and get him back on track. So normally that's 2 weeks in hospital to try and get the body back,
And how often does that have to happen?
Oh, gosh, we've been in hospital a lot, but he's been on this drug, Orkambi, for the past 2 years, and that's really, really helped him put on weight and make him want to eat, and he's playing basketball, so that's so good. Like 2 years we have not been in hospital, touch wood.
Touch wood, through COVID as well.
Oh, gosh. When COVID hit, it was just panic. I was just like stressing so much. I'm like, if he gets this, I was just so scared that he would die, like if he caught it. The funny thing was we already did all the hand sanitising and wear masks and, very vigilant, because that's our life. So for 12 years we've already done all that. And then
you were match fit for COVID,
yeah,
Reggie.
Yes.
Your family.
So when COVID hit, I was like, oh, we already do all this stuff, like what you're being told.
Is that because a common virus like a cold or the flu can affect him so much more seriously because of his cystic fibrosis?
Yeah.
He's 11 now, but if you think back to that day that you were sitting in the doctor's surgery, were you holding him? Was he with you when you and Dale went in to see the doctor who told you that he had cystic fibrosis?
Yes, he was there.
And when you left, what did you and Dale and Lucas do?
Oh, I just cried. And I knew something was wrong because his nappies, like his poo, was very different to what Mia's was. Like it was just really, really runny, and that was because his pancreas doesn't work. So he's drinking the milk, but it was just going straight through him. So he was in pain the whole time, belly aches, like we didn't know. Yeah, so when he has his enzymes, that helps digest the food and keep the food in. Even now, I know when he hasn't taken it, he'll come home from school, go to the loo, and if I go to the loo and I see oil and fat floating on the surface, I know that he hasn't taken his tablets. He's a little bugger sometimes.
Like CSI,
yeah, I know. Because he has to have salt as well, because they don't reabsorb salt back into their bodies. So he'll have 8 to 10 salt tablets a day to try and get the salt back in.
How did you tell people in your life that he had cystic fibrosis?
Gosh, I've done over the years a lot of Women's Day stories and that, so I got it out there and also try and raise awareness about it because a lot of people don't know much about it. Yeah.
A lot of, Australia was really interested in you and your life and various things that have happened to you. There was that real market for magazines who would pay celebrities and why shouldn't they? It was like, your life, and if you're going to tell your stories, why shouldn't they pay? What were those years like? Like, what was the process for that happening? Would they approach you? Would you approach them? How did it work?
Yeah, 19 years later, they've always had an interest in me.
You sell magazines too, I imagine.
Yeah. always had an interest.
Yeah.
And they would approach me if they found out, even when I was pregnant or getting married, they're like, oh, can we do your story, Reggie? And I'm like, okay, and it was good fun.
But do
doing
you
it.
negotiate? Are you a hard negotiator, Reggie?
No, I'm bad.
I imagine you're not.
I'm bad.
So how much do they offer you?
Back in those days, you'd get probably, I reckon 10 grand or 15 grand for a story.
And a photo shoot.
And
an interview and a photo shoot.
Yeah.
What's it like now?
Oh, I'd be lucky to get $1,000.
I'm Mia Friedman and you're listening to No Filter with the one and only Reggie from Big Brother. Your vision.
Yeah.
When did that start to go?
I got diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa not long after Big Brother. Oh, it was when I was going into work at Virgin and we were doing the training and we had to work with people with disabilities and a blind lady came in and she was talking about how she went blind. She said, oh, I couldn't see in the dark. And then my vision started going in and I thought, geez, well, I can't see in the dark. But everyone used to say, Reggie, no one can see in the dark.
I was going to say, it's dark, isn't that the point?
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I can't see in the dark at all. I told her and she goes, oh, you go and get your eyes checked. And I went to an optometrist and they went, oh, no, you need to see an ophthalmologist pretty much straight away. And I went there and then they said, you have this eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa. I didn't take notice of it. It didn't even sink in what it was. It was really weird and it wasn't until I moved to the Gold Coast and I had Mia and she was crawling and I'd never see her and I kept tripping over and kicking her on the floor and I'm like, oh my goodness. And Dale said, go and get your eyes looked at again. He goes, you need to go and you're kicking the baby all the time. You're tripping over her. And so I went and that day the ophthalmologist said, because I did all the fields testing and whatever, and he said, you need to stop driving right now. You cannot drive. No peripheral vision, can't see beside, below, above, and then no night vision. And when I first got diagnosed, I can't remember if it was 12% or 15% vision, but now I've just got 9. So I don't have much left, yeah.
Being told that you can't drive anymore
when
you've got a new baby,
gosh.
That's massive.
It was awful. It was so horrible. The day I had to hand my licence in was just the worst day because it took away all my independence. And I'm like, how am I going to get around? And that's when I went into depression. For 2 years, I went into really horrid. Oh, hang on, no, sorry, that might have been after Lucas was born. So on top of my eyes and then with Lucas's illness, so all of it was just too much and that's when I went into depression,
How did you manage that? A chronically ill baby, a 3-year-old, vision impairment. And depression.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I didn't want to be here anymore. I really didn't. It was just everything was getting to me. And
what did you do every day?
Oh, gosh. Well, I didn't really go anywhere. I was just at home. I didn't do much at all. I felt like I'm stuck at home with the kids and I can't drive anywhere. And at the time where we lived, it was quite a walk to catch a bus and, and taxis, a lot of taxis. When I started getting taxis, they wouldn't come and pick me up if I just wanted to go down the road to the shops because it was such a short trip. And so I had a lot of issues with that.
Because you don't outwardly, you've got, I guess, what's known as an invisible disability. You don't carry a cane, you don't have a guide dog.
At that time, I didn't have a cane and I was really embarrassed. I remember when I first had to wear my low vision badge, going to the shops, because I'd go to the supermarket and I'd bang into people and they'd look at me like I was really rude, and because I'm young, I was young back then, and I was so embarrassed and so ashamed, and I'm like,
you don't even wear glasses.
So
why would anyone know? You're just famous Reggie from Big Brother who bumps into people.
And then when I got my cane, it took me ages to even want to get that out because I was still like, this is awful, it's embarrassing. I finally got it into my head, I need to do this. I need this cane and I need to show people that I can't see very well and just let them know. Yeah. But even today, oh, God, when I go to the shops, and I A lot of people still, they don't move out of your way and they walk in front of you and like, oh my goodness. Sometimes I wish I had a taser on the end of it and I'd just buzz their ankles.
A cattle prod.
Yeah.
You need that.
Yeah.
Is it hard to learn to use a cane?
Well, I did cane training I've had my cane now for 10 years maybe.
Were you offered a guide dog?
You got to go on a waiting list, and I applied years ago now for a guide dog or a seeing eye dog, and they said to me, because I don't work, I couldn't get one. And I'm like, well, how blind do you have to be? And I said, why is that? And they said, because the dog has to be a working dog. And I said, well, I walk everywhere. Yeah, so it was really bizarre. I need to
And
look.
you've got 2 kids.
Yeah, and
You're I imagine, in and out of hospitals and doctor's appointments.
Yeah. So I need to look back into it. Yeah, so that was 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. So I didn't bother looking into it again, but I am down the track going to have to get one.
I noticed when you arrived, you were sort of led by someone. You didn't have your cane with you though.
Oh, it's in my handbag. Yeah.
So it folds up and goes in your handbag.
Yes, yeah.
How much thought has to go into when you are planning to go somewhere?
Oh, gosh. I rarely go out at night at all, because it's just daunting. And even when the kids want to go to the movies, they're like, come on, Mum, can we go to the movies? I used to go, I don't want to go. But as they've got older, it's fine because they help me. They'll help me up and down the stairs. But I do remember one time I took the kids and I was going down the stairs and someone left their child on the stairs, like would have been about 2 years old. I kicked it down the stairs. And the kid went down the stairs and I'm like, oh, no, because I didn't see it. And it went, down it went. So that was bad. But, yeah, the kids, they helped me.
When they were younger, kids are sort of don't like anything about their parents that are different to the other parents. Now, you were both famous and had a disability. How did they grapple with that in public?
You know what's funny, Mia? It's only now like Big Brother started again, like they've gone, oh, wow, Mum, like this is really good. I think that they've been so used to doing, the magazine shoots and all that over the years. But last night I think it really hit them that Mum is actually
how famous you are.
Yeah.
You must have been their whole lives recognised in public.
Yes. So people still all these years come up to me and go, hi, Reggie. And I remember when they were younger, they go, who was that, Mummy? How do you know
that person?
Yeah, do you know that person? And I go, no, they just know Mummy from Big Brother. And they go, okay, yeah. So it's only all growing up they would go, who's that? Who's that?
So it's almost like one of the stories, Mum banging on about her time in Big Brother, and now they can see that your fame still has currency.
Yes.
There's so much love and affection for you in Australia.
It's so nice.
Is it?
Yeah, after all these years, and it's really, really lovely. Yeah, it's nice.
Do you have a better sense of how you can make it work for you this time?
I hope so.
What do you want to do?
I hope so. I'd like to, even like with my blindness, to make more awareness, because people have a perception of because you're blind, you can't do anything. And one of my reasons also when I got asked to go back was like, this would be good to show people that you can do anything. And it was good to show the kids, and I wanted to show the kids as well, like you can do anything. Your mum can do this. Yeah, I'd like to keep doing what I'm doing and, raise awareness about CF. And
do you get paid much to be on Big Brother, like the first time you went into the house?
I think back then we got $500 a week.
A week?
A week, yeah.
Ooh.
Back then.
And what about now? Better?
It's pretty much the same. It hasn't changed much over the years. Yeah, you get a talent fee and, after 19 years I thought it might have gone up,
Thought there should have been a salary increase. Yeah. But I imagine you did negotiating for yourself, did you, Reggie?
Yeah, as I do. I'm not one to ask for things. I'm really bad like that. And some people are really so good at doing deals and negotiating and it's not real good at doing that kind of stuff.
When you came out of the house, you said, you had this $250,000 and you paid off your mortgage, but you also got ripped off.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened.
So I was here in Sydney and met this guy who I thought was a TV producer, and we filmed a TV pilot thing together, like a travel show, and this is where where the money ended up going. So he said he'd just come back from LA and he was waiting to get paid from some acting job that he did, and he goes, "Oh, can I borrow $5,000?" Because I went with him to the, where they put it all together and stuff,
Like the editing suite.
Yeah. So, did all that. He's like, "Oh, I'm waiting for this money to come through," and he goes, "Can I just borrow $5,000?" I said, "Yeah, no worries." And then he goes, "Oh, we need another $5,000 and $10,000 and then another $10,000," and then I'm like, okay, this is not right. I should have probably realised it $5,000, but I was just so naive, and and then toodle off he went, nicked off.
How did you know that he was gone? Did he just stop returning your calls, or what happened?
What did he do? He left. I think can't remember if he left his unit where he was living or got kicked out of there, and he was gone, just gone.
How much money did you lose?
Oh, $40,000. So that was a lot, $40,000. Again, I paid off the house and then had to pay lawyers, to get through that divorce. And then when I was in the contract with Harry M, I got out of that contract, paid lawyers to get out of that contract, and then that money and then rent, because I couldn't get a job. It was nearly 2 years, paid rent, living off that, and it's just, that's where it went. Yeah.
You had a stalker, Reggie.
Yeah. Oh, that was that guy, the one that took the money. He turned into, that's what he
started as a stalker or turned into a stalker?
No, turned into it.
After he took your money?
Yes. He wouldn't leave me alone. I had to move out of the unit I was living in Sydney, and I went out and moved in with Ben, who was my ex-housemate on Big Brother. Yeah, so he helped me for a while.
You guys still mates?
Yes, we're still mates, yeah. No,
must be a specific thing that not many people can understand, the famous for the time you spent together.
Yeah, and it's really weird, also when you come out of Big Brother, it's hard to explain to your friends and family, what you've just gone through, and it's really bizarre. It's so weird. But being with housemates, you just have this special connection because you both go through this crazy ride.
I was going to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
In terms of this Big Brother versus the original one, there are a lot of people in the house now who are very internet aware and who are influencers and who know what money can be made and are businesses unto themselves.
Yeah.
And even the people who aren't yet famous, everyone's in there to try and become famous. So what was that like in the house, the difference? What did you observe about those kinds of people?
Yes, because there's some in there that have got a lot of followers, on the Instagram.
Tully's a business.
Yeah, well, Tully is.
And she's iconic as an influencer, and had her drama in the house from when she was famous, but she's one of those people who's sort of parlayed that exposure into a career.
She's made a career out of that. Yeah. No, she's done really well, Tully.
And so did you kind of learn from them, or were they just did you observe that they behave differently to those of you who were from the analogue old school days?
The young ones are different. They're different. Yeah. So different. Compared to us original housemates,
Oh, I can't wait to see the show.
Oh gosh, I'm looking forward to it as well. I just absolutely loved the first episode. I'm just this is gold. It's so good.
And you really enjoyed your time in the house?
Yes, yeah. Again, just had a ball. Yeah.
It's so lovely to meet you, Reggie.
Oh, thanks, Mia.
If you enjoyed this chat and checking in with Reggie, you will love my chat with Sarah Marie from season 1 of Big Brother. I went all the way to Perth to talk to Sarah Marie, and we threw our arms around each other like long lost friends, which we kind of were. I hadn't seen Sarah Marie since she'd been on a cover shoot for Cosmopolitan, of which I was the editor at the time. And it's so interesting to me how of all the people that were on Big Brother, Sarah Marie didn't even win, but she remains so iconic. I was actually hoping that she would be back in the house, but she's very, very private these days. Have a listen to that interview. The link is in the show notes. If you believe in women's media, if you believe in a purpose-driven media company, like Mama Mia, whose core purpose is to make the world a better place for women and girls, please consider becoming a paid subscriber to Mama Mia. A portion of our profits goes to educating girls in some of the most vulnerable communities in the world through our charity partners, and it only costs $5.75 a month, which is less than a large coffee or a small coffee if you get oat milk. Our producer is Gia Moylan. The executive producer is Eliza Ratliff, and I'm Leah Friedman.